Hello students. So today we are going to talk on the topic of sentinel events, how hospital planning and sentinel events are related to each other. So when we are planning a hospital, we must always take into consideration that the patient safety is our topmost priority, isn't it? And then our operation has to be very much smooth. So sentinel events are those events where the there it happens that the patient faces some kind of permanent harm, or which might result in death, or maybe permanent harm or any severe temporary harm which impacts the patient, okay, whether when he's staying in a hospital setting. So when a hospital, like the definition itself says, a sentinel event is a patient safety event that reaches a patient and results in death, permanent harm, or severe temporary harm. Like for example, you are treating a patient in a hospital, and since the size of the stairs are not appropriate and it is very steep, the patient is not able to walk properly and he trips. So if he trips, what will happen is that he'll get harm in his hands, nose, maybe the frontal part, or maybe the leg, maybe he got a broken leg. So those are sentinel events. So when you're planning a hospital, it's very important that we take into consideration the various sentinel events that that usually occurs in a hospital setting, and we have to give that infrastructure, or we have to give that kind of an environment that we do not promote this events to happen in a hospital setting, because a hospital is something which is there for the treatment of the patient, right? Not for in fact posing a harm or posing some kind of threat to the patient, isn't it? So it might be in case of hospital acquired infection, it might be in case of physical harm. So these are something which has to be taken care of. If for example, if a patient has got easy access to the laboratory, this one, right, because it doesn't have that much of infrastructural safety that has been given. For example, a child just enters a laboratory and he just starts touching all the reagents and all, and in that process, he or she gets a little bit of harm, then that will be again a event which we will not which will not be acceptable for the hospital management. So a sentinel event is something which always has to be taken into consideration, that we do not make this happen in the first place. And hospital planning, when we are doing the infrastructure and all, it has to be designed in such a way that the harm is less, and it in fact gives a protective environment for the patient, and also the patient reaches the optimal level of health as soon as possible, as fast as possible. And there is also mental as well as physical harmony for the patient, and he would like to visit the hospital and will not freak out in visiting the hospital in the future as well. So these are various sentinel events that specifically is impacted by safe design, like for example abduction. So you must have heard about the term abduction. So like for example, the baby abduction mostly happen in many hospital setup, that because of some kind of security glitch or infrastructural complexity, abductions has happened in the hospital. Maybe there was some kind of loopholes that has led in such a scenario that the baby has been abducted, or any person has been abducted from the hospital setting, right? Second is the suicide attempts. Okay, so if you give people those easy access to the terrace, or the room has got window, but then it is a sliding window or something, who can stand over it, and maybe the kids are playing in that room, and it's just a little bit of height, and you can climb to the window, and just if the patient falls, so suicide attempts may occur, or maybe you can even lead to some kind of fatality. So this you have to make sure the hospital planner must take into consideration, that you're not giving such kind of avenue where the patient party has got easy access to do the suicide attempts. So we'll talk about other points as well in our consecutive videos. Thank you.